Wickham to Whitley Bay, Stonygate to Shields, Doggy to Darlow Backlane, Steve, Ted and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Now, before we get into the pleasantries, boys, hands up if you actually want to spend the next 2 hours talking about the ideal way to wrap Christmas gifts.
Both hands are up.
Rye,
I've got plans.
Both hands are up.
Dave's hands up. Steve's hands up. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That works.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
You love it.
You might be the only one who's got any points this weekend, mate. But we're thinking about you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Like I said in the WhatsApp group that we don't talk about. It's every day is my birthday when I get to work with you lads.
That is the only nicety you're going to get this morning, mate, I'm telling you.
That was met with a vomiting emoji from Radio Dad, which was lovely. I tried to be nice, and that's what I get.
Well, we're being nice. But anyway,
how was your weekend, lads?
Okay then, yeah. On that note,
didn't see any of it, and I'm glad I didn't.
No.
I've been swimming around, lads. Been swimming around.
Everything that could have gone right went right, as far as I was concerned.
Oh, that's a bit harsh on poor Rye. Come on, mate.
Well, no. Apart from that, obviously, I don't want my championship bro suffering. That
they're looking after each other.
Yeah. I'm talking about the football aspect. I'm a humanitarian at heart.
Have we got Steve with us this morning?
Yes, I'm just altering my notes, mate. It's called being professional and trying to get things sorted. You'll see why when I read them, mate.
I see.
What a win, Ted. Let's just talk about that, eh? Let's just talk about that. Good performance without a manager, and they've managed to score. Can't believe it.
You know what? 2-1 really flattered them as well, because
it did.
I'll cover it off in the headlines, but Job should never have had his goal chalked off for offside. The performance, we absolutely dominated against a useful West Brom side. Maybe we rode our luck a bit. Maybe Stan Ballard possibly could have seen red for the tackle.
I was going to say, that's the only thing I reckon is that I reckon Ballard's a lucky boy, but I reckon the refs had a howler for that whole game, though, for both teams, for both sides.
Gives the foul before that, which there was a West Brom player went absolutely over the top of one of our players. I think it might have been Dan Neal. He went completely over the top. And if the referee rightly gives the foul there, then there's not a challenge to make on Madge. But it was a little bit naughty, and obviously it ended Madge's game. He didn't get the lickings of a dog from our fans as well, Madge, because of protracted contract talks when he left the club a few years back. So not the most pleasant return to the stadium I like for him. But like I say, as far as the performance from our lads, it was very, very good. I don't know whether you've seen the second goal. The ball from Pritchard,
second goal was incredible,
is absolutely amazing. But the finish, calmness from Dan Neal,
the chip of an oncoming goalkeeper, incredible. Yeah. The keeper's rushing him down quick as ever, and he just chips it like a FIFA game. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was a fantastic win. What's really impressed me, lads, is I've been reading the post-match interview from Mike Dodds. Now, Dodds, he had a couple of games in charge last time around. I think it was might have been when Lee Johnson were waiting for Alex Neil to be appointed. And he was working with the youth team at the time, and he had 2 defeats, and a couple of the fans were on his back, but he's had some time with the first team. Obviously he's a first team coach now. I was really impressed with his insights. He sounds like an absolute top coach. Very respectful to West Brom, and kind of saying it's a big tactical battle. And we just got some insights into the way the team is, and the way he sees the team as well. I don't know whether it was alluding to the fact that Mowbray was maybe a little bit reluctant to play Alex Pritchard, but when all's said and done, Pritchard changed the game. It wasn't the greatest free kick he put in for Ballard's goal. It has to be said, I think Ballard got him out of jail a little bit with a really good header. But that through ball to put Dan Neal through was just incredible. So Dodsey's been talking up Alex Pritchard, so I think we can fully expect him to start against Leeds tomorrow night. Sorry, I've just seen an absolute whopping flash of lightning out my window.
Oh, God.
That freaked me right out. I'm not even going to lie.
I got the rain smacking on my window.
We'll talk all the games. I mean, obviously, we want to talk about Borough. We want to talk about Newcastle.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
It's only right that we have the post-mortem, boys. It's just to make my birthday even more fun. By the way, the secret location. So Mrs. Ted whisked me away on Saturday morning, and I'm currently in a hotel in Paphos.
She loves you, obviously.
On the south of the island.
Yeah.
She's a good egg. Honestly, she has absolutely spoilt me rotten. She really has. Like, it was five-star food last night in a Michelin star chef and all that sort of nonsense. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible last night. So I'm sat in the Amavi Hotel in Paphos, looking out at possibly one of the worst storms that Cyprus has seen at this time of year. For some time. It's you get a...
You see, the wife might smile and look upon you fondly, mate, but the gods don't.
No, absolutely not. No, the footballing gods are angry. Clearly a Geordie. It's been a fantastic weekend. I mean, obviously, the Borough, I don't think anybody saw that coming. I thought Borough might have made a little bit more of a fist of that.
No, I feared it. I did.
Did you?
Yeah. I was letting my heart rule my head and say 1-1, but I was fearing that.
I went in with optimism, but the injuries, it's starting to, it's just like, we can't cope. We can't cope. Like, we just can't cope with them. It's just, the 9 players or 10 players that are out would literally walk back into that team. And that's just, at championship level, with the squad that we don't have the premiership or the Premier League funding to have the squad depth. I mean, we've got some youngsters, we've got our, academy there still providing a fair bit, but it's just catching up with us now. It really is. And it's and we just looked well off it. But, to be fair, and I have to give credit to Ipswich Town, is that they're going up. I mean, they're one of the best teams I've seen at the Riverside this season. They're a very, very well good coach team. McKenna is a very, very good coach. He's tactically knew how to break Borough down, and I think they're going to go up easily.
Saying that, buddy, I do think if we had a fit squad, we'd have certainly given them a game.
I agree.
On Saturday.
Oh, we would.
Yeah.
We'd give anyone a game with a fit squad, for sure.
Fit squad, but
with Riley McGree and Izzy Jones and you name it. Darragh Lenihan, like Hayden Hackney, like the names we are missing. As I said, all Lewis O'Brien, for goodness sake, like these players would walk straight into that squad. Even Riley McGree. You put Riley McGree on the left. You move Sam Greenwood over. Izzy Jones was missing down that right as well. Like that top 3 there. Behind Ate Lathan, that's crucial. You know what I mean? It's absolutely crucial. And then, Dale Fry's just come back in, so our defence switches around again after Vandenberg's played 2 at centre back. It's like, you just can't get consistency in where you're playing. You know what I mean? One week, poor Vandenberg, he's 19 years old. 1 week he's a right back, 1 week he's a centre back. He can't keep up. So, but Steve, I guess with the Borough, I wanted to talk obviously to you as well. You're starting to get some pain in it, or is it the injury starting to catch up as well, mate?
Yeah, get your own excuse, Ray. We've had the injuries before you. Honestly, it's not good, is it? I mean, I think Callum Wilson and Sean Longstaff were there in name only yesterday. It was, maybe it's an attempt to try and spook Spurs a little bit that Newcastle had got players back, but in all intents and purposes, we're running on empty, We literally are. The exertions of the last 3 or 4 weeks where Newcastle pulled out the stops against the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, PSG, and got the results. The last 2 games have basically just shown that, in this day and age, in this day and age of football, you can't play the same 11 time after time after time. You see now why clubs rotate squads, and it's not at Eddie Howe's door. It's just simply bad luck. It's just the way that it goes, and you have to ride the storm out. You've got to take the rough with the smooth as a football fan. Sadly, a lot of our fans don't seem to be able to do that. The modern day supporter, the social media supporter, is not used to these kind of blips when you're, inverted commas, a successful team. I hate using that term, but we've done well in the last couple of years. We've still won nothing, but unfortunately this Johnny Come Lately Brigade or the new set of supporter now are going into meltdown. It's all Eddie Howe's fault. They're picking out players. I just avoid social media. I mean, I had a busy weekend anyway. Thanks to the Bulgarian Supporters Association, me and Nobby Solano were across in Sofia to do a talk-in, so it's been a case of planes, trains and automobiles for me. Only got to see the first half yesterday because internet on the train coming back was on and off, so I haven't had time to catch up with the second half. Haven't seen the goals because when I got back to Newcastle I had to go and see some friends, so it's been it's been a tough week, and it's going to get tougher because yes, there's players coming back, yes, there's there's a brighter horizon with the likes of Harvey Barnes due to come back, Sven Botman, and there'll be competition for places again, but the team have just got to get through this. They've got to get through this, and Milan on Wednesday, Champions League final group stage game. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'd love to go out of Europe on Wednesday. I don't want to progress. I want to get out of the Champions League as quickly as possible. I'd like Newcastle to focus on the Carabao Cup because it's a genuine, it's a realistic cup competition for Newcastle to win. It's a thing which can save our season, if you like. But if you look on the positives, and you always try to look on the positives as a football fan, results, for those teams in that top 6, top 7, with the exception of Aston Villa, have been quite erratic the last few weeks. So, Newcastle haven't damaged their opportunities of qualifying for Europe. If that's the only thing they achieve this season, if they go out of the Carabao Cup at the end of this month, if they, go out of the FA Cup, against Sunderland, or if they progress against Sunderland but then go out in the next round, then, Newcastle then only have the league competition to focus on. They haven't left themselves a massive amount of work to do. They're not a million miles away from putting a run together and being able to get back into that kind of reckoning. So it's not all doom and gloom for me, but sadly for some of our fan base at this moment in time, it is. And I've seen a few people pointing out issues between players. I've seen people saying Fabian Schär and Jamal Lascelles don't seem to be working well together. There seems to be a little bit of a niggle between Kieran Trippier and the lads.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And that kind of stuff. That's rubbish. Nobody likes to get beat. Nobody likes it when things go wrong. Trippier's had a bad week. You couldn't have scripted on Wednesday night that Newcastle, as we discussed last week, should have been clearly ahead in that game. But then 3 errors from Trippier, and we'll lose by 3 goals to 0. Everton won yesterday against Chelsea 2-0. It's about when you play teams as well.
Yeah,
Everton are on a resurgence. That 10-point deduction, is now it's a distant memory, and they're out the bottom 3. So look, I'm not doom and gloom. I wasn't doom and gloom against Everton. The Milan game is not that important to me. I just want to see Newcastle regroup. They're going to take on 5-star Fulham on at the weekend. There's another surprise result. Them hammering the Hammers 5-0 yesterday. So they come with their tails up to St James's next week. But our home form, for some reason, is so much better than our away form. It's a surprise. We're not doing well on the road this year like we did last year. We're not picking up those points. So yeah, it's not doom and gloom, lads, for me. But there's we've just got to wait until these players come back, and fingers crossed we'll have a few more back over the course of the next couple of weeks. But Carabao Cup's the most important thing for me, lads.
It is, but
bizarre situation. Sorry, Dave, go on.
I was just going to say what's concerning me about Borough and what's concerning me about Newcastle as well is we've both got lots of players to come back because of the injury crisis.
Yep.
But it's harder.
Yeah, massive.
It's harder when it's harder when these players are coming back into a side when the side's not winning. And that's the difficulty, because it's not only them coming back, but then they've got to help turn around something. I mean, in Borough's case, what's that?
Yeah.
3 defeats out of 4 now.
Correct.
Newcastle, obviously, I think the key thing for you, Steve, is to avoid defeat. Is pick up what you can pick up between now and when you get a decent number of players back. Just because it'll be easier for them to reintegrate into the playing squad.
The smarter man should realise, though, right? Like, it's exactly the same for Newcastle. For Newcastle and Middlesbrough, look at the last 5 games. The last 5 games in a row for both Newcastle and Middlesbrough, we've named the same 10 outfield players 5 games in a row with no ability to rotate the squad because we just can't. It's exactly the same for Newcastle, exactly the same for Middlesbrough. Now, Newcastle and Middlesbrough in those 5 games pulled off some really good wins. You know, we went and beat Leicester, you know what I mean? And Newcastle, you know, beat Man United and stuff like it in there. But at some point, having the same 10 outfield players for 5 games in a row without any ability to rotate the squad, I mean, you know what I mean? It catches up with you.
It becomes predictable as well for the opposition, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what we were finding with the latter stages of Mogga's tenure, was he was naming unchanged sides, and that's nice. You know, you want consistency in your side, especially at the back 4, like what we just mentioned with Borough as well, right? But teams then can prepare for what they're going to face a whole lot better. Now, whether you're one of those teams that sort of looks at the opposition and changes the gameplay just specifically for them, or whether you play your own style, you know, that remains to be seen. But yeah, that inability to freshen things up has obviously cost you guys quite a bit. I mean, look, Sunderland are far from a complete unit themselves, but we still have that little bit of leeway with the outfield players where we can rotate a little bit. But you look at our squad, there's still Corey Evans, the club captain, to come back into that. We've got Timothy Pembele, you know, a PSG graduate who's never played a game for us yet. Mayenda's just coming back into the team now. You've got Adji Alessi, you've got Dennis Sirkin. You've got a lot of key players missing out that squad.
Yeah.
But you know,
I love a Pritchard off the bench.
Yeah, honestly,
he's incredible.
His technical ability is never been questioned by me, certainly not, and by a lot of the fans as well. The only thing is with Pritch is it looks like he's kind of incapable of playing a full 90 minutes. Now, he's only 30 years old, but like he's a 60-minute player. But I mean, to bring him off the bench is just like to have that quality. That pass for Dan Neil was just incredible. Absolutely incredible on the outside of the foot. It was so clever. Then, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't even look like he looks. He kind of instinctively knows where he is and plays just this killer pass. But
like a Kobe Bryant look away one sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like a bit of like a Ronaldinho no look pass. You know, it was just absolutely superb. But
Kobe who?
Does that result do anything for Dodds' chances of potentially staying on? I mean, he's got a little bit of experience there with player management at Birmingham, where he did, you know, take the likes of the Bellingham boys. Do you know what I mean? And obviously he's had a stint previously. Do you think he's got the ambition to stay there full time? And is there any chance of that, or is it still looking for a big name to come in? Because he's tactically, I thought tactically he was sound, and even Carlos Corberon said, you know, the West Brom said that, you know, that was the most tactical team we've come up against.
Yeah, I think that, and massive credit goes to Mike Dodds for that as well. I've got a little bit in the headlines which are coming up in the next minute or two, just dropping a hint, where Mike Dodds has actually distanced himself a little bit. He's been very careful because the way the system works at Sunderland is Doddsy and Proctor as well, and the goalkeeping coach as well, they are employed by the club. They are, I know that sounds silly, but they are the club's own backroom staff. So whoever is coming in, they might have their own number 2, absolutely. But Doddsy is hired as a first team coach by the club. He is, you know, he's Speakman's appointment. He's Kirill Louis Dreyfus's appointment as first team coach. Now, for me, I think he was superb. He seemed to be very animated on the pitch. You know, there was. You could lip read certain conversations about the referee giving us absolutely nothing, and he was communicating certain things to the players regarding that. I think, bless him, he's not used to the limelight, so he wasn't hiding his face, you know, behind his hand like a lot of these coaches do. I think tactically he was excellent. I've never seen, not for a good couple of months, a dominating display, but where we looked a threat as well. You know, we genuinely looked like we had purpose, and it was kind of like, right, we are going to score. And I had every confidence that we would.
The interesting thing for me was Patrick Roberts' comments after the game about Doddsy. You know, he was saying he's known us for a long time. He's been here just as long as I have. He knows the players inside out, and he knows how to get the best out of us. and to keep playing the same way Tony wanted us to play. So it does sound like the players themselves have got every confidence in him.
Well, it's something that I've thought about before. I mean, I made some notes obviously before we start the show because sometimes I'm organised. I know.
Never.
It's a shock to us all. I know. I hope you were sitting down. He does seem to have had them playing at their best, which was great. Like I say, he was animated. Sorry, he was communicating well from the bench. But why don't we see coaches coming through the ranks the same as we do players? Liverpool used to do this to great effect in the the 70s and 80s. The next manager of Liverpool was sat next to the current one, and that's the way that all the way up to Gerard Houllier. That's the way they were.
The boot room.
It was a production line not just of fantastic players but of great managers as well, and I wouldn't be annoyed if Mike Dodd's got a, let's see how he gets on against Leeds tomorrow night. But the way he's already talking about that game is like, it's a different problem. It's a different set of tactics. But he sounds like he's really loving it. He's loving this challenge. And like you say, you don't have managers anymore. You have head coaches. And he talks like a really, really good one. I was so impressed with his post-match comments. It was really insightful. It was intelligent. We got a glimpse of what it's like to be a top coach. And he does talk like one. And hey, if Paddy Roberts is making comments like that, probably the most gifted footballer in the Championship, then hey, good enough for me. Let's see though. He's certainly done himself no harm. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, agreed.
Should we have some headlines though?
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
I didn't want to go first. Honestly.
Okay, that's fine.
Smoggies and Proud. Borough
Oh,
News.
not him.
I didn't want... No, I'm kidding. What's going on, Middlesbrough fans? Happy Monday. I hope you're all fantastic, safe and well. Well, we've gone down to Ipswich in what is back-to-back losses, but even though there was no Rye, there was a storm brewing. And the storm brewing is that Middlesbrough have never lost 3 games in a row under Michael Carrick. So it will change this week, Borough fans. Don't you worry about that. Michael Carrick has admitted Borough were unable to find another gear in the 2-0 defeat to Ipswich Town. Against one of the best teams Borough have played against this season at the Riverside, Borough never really threatened Ipswich as the injury crisis has well and truly taken its toll. Borough looked tired, and albeit from Latte Lath, who looked lively, he was still unable to finish 2 of his best chances. Although losing 2 in a row is hardly a time we can be critical of Borough, with both Leeds and Ipswich likely contenders. It does, however, ring now Borough's ambitions this season might just need to be subdued in order for Carrick to still build this squad to cope with such injury crisis in the future. And despite it being a 3rd defeat in 4 games, Borough will still remain 12th in the league table and just still 3 points off the playoff places. In that respect, the Ipswich defeat, while disappointing because of how flat the performance was not too damaging in the grander scheme. And now with 7 games to play until January transfer window opens, it feels like an obvious pre-January goal is emerging with that injury list in mind. The January transfer window will hopefully come at a time now that Borough will have already welcomed back some of the more senior injured players. And regardless, the transfer window will offer Borough a chance to try and improve or perhaps fine-tune this squad in the hope of giving him that extra edge to push into the playoffs second half of the season. It feels imperative, as the best they can do, Borough try and use every point available between now and then to keep that distance to a minimum. And by the way of encouragement, as I started the headlines off, this is just the 4th time Borough have lost a second consecutive game under Carrick, and with Wednesday night's clash against Hull City at the Riverside in mind, they've never lost 3 in a row under this Michael Carrick era. Up the Borough, onto Hull. We forget about what happened on the weekend. We forget that Rye swims to his computer. We forget that Ted's the only one that's won this weekend because the Borough are coming back. That is your Borough headlines.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Here's your fantastic headlines this beautiful Monday morning. Mike Dodds has said that he expects to be in charge for Leeds United's visit to the Stadium of Light on Tuesday night. Dodds won his first game as interim head coach against West Brom on Saturday lunchtime, with the club currently interviewing potential candidates to succeed Tony Mowbray. Dodds has, however, swerved any talk of whether he wants to be a contender for the position full-time, but he is well known to have a lot of admirers behind the scenes at the club. Asked if he was enjoying leading the side, he said, "I have to be careful what I say here. I am enjoying it. The only difference for me is this press conference. I mean that respectfully to whoever has worked at the football club previously." Sky Sports pundit and Sunderland legend Kevin Phillips blasted the poor decision making from the refereeing team in Saturday's lunchtime match against West Brom. Sunderland had a goal incorrectly chalked off as offside. However, replays showed that Joe Bellingham was onside by a considerable margin. Phillips said, "I think they've been hard done by. You can clearly see that the goal should have stood, and if we had VAR, it would have been given." The linesman is on this side, so all you can see in his defence that the two West Brom players are blocking his vision. But the level of officiating nowadays should be able to see that. It was onside. Sunderland could feel very hard done by not going on at half-time 1-0 up. And finally, Alex Pritchard's super sub performance certainly caught the eye on Saturday. If Pritchard hadn't been introduced into the contest by Dodds, Sunderland might well have continued to struggle going forward and trudged over the line to either a draw or maybe even a loss. Instead, with the diminutive 30-year-old on the pitch, the game became more comfortable for Sunderland, with the 5'7" attacking midfielder managing to consistently find pockets of space to then cut open a determined Baggies back four at will. As per SofaScore, Pritchard was 100% accurate with all of his passes in the short but sweet cameo, with two of those passes ending up assisting Ballard and Neil. The assist for Dan Neil's goal in particular was impressive, a swift and effective counter-attack with Pritchard's pass parting the West Brom defence before Neil dinked the chance away calmly. That's your headlines this Monday morning.
Magpies and proud. Mags News.
Newcastle United women cruised past Stoke City's women into the fourth round of the DEC Women's FA Cup on Sunday, defeating the Potters 5-0 at Gateshead International Stadium. Bridget Galloway and Anna Soulsby's braces were sandwiched in between a super solo effort from Katie Barker as the Magpies booked a spot in the next stage of the competition against an opponent who also reside in the FA Women's National League Northern Premier Division. Newcastle United fans Anton Deck crowned Sam Thompson winner of I'm a Celebrity last night, with Tony Bellew finishing second and Nigel Farage finishing third. The Geordies have tapped up their tan, worked on the golf handicap in between presenting the successful long-running ITV show. And Newcastle lost 4-1 at Spurs, with Joe Linton grabbing the consolation. That's your Newcastle headlines.
Ted, Rye and Steve, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the red, the cat, and the tune.
Such an insightful
I
last
shouldn't have
line.
done that.
Such an insightful
Beautiful work,
that.
Steve. Absolute cutting-edge journalism.
I was thinking.
Hey, Roger
that
Cook's
it was
absolutely
good.
crapping himself
I
now,
love
isn't
it.
he?
Excellent.
Should have been Smoggies and proud. Here's your Borough headlines. No. And that's it. That's what I should have left it.
Yeah, I was thinking about just saying no, but
No.
Hey, you know what's up next, though, lads?
Decorating.
what
No.
the fact?
It is, Steve. Cue the
What
music,
the
Dave.
fuck?
No, we're not going there.
Yes, we are.
Cue it.
Yes, we are.
Cue
Cue
it.
the music.
No.
It's his birthday.
Me and Ryan will just sing it.
Arm up my back.
What? Fact. It's Ted's What the Fact. What the fact.
What the fact? It's what the fact. It's his birthday. And it's what the fact.
How can you be so jolly when you're submerged?
It's Ted's What the Fact. What the fact. I want some of his medication.
Right, okay, no, what the fact? I'll just give the 50 quid away now. No problem.
He told me to sing on the backing or your cut, so I've been told that I got to sing on that, so that's
Right,
right.
okay.
Wow. Okay.
So live from his salubrious hotel, beachside hotel.
Live from the 5-star Amalfi Hotel in Paphos.
That's him. It is Ted's What the Fact.
It is. And what a doozy. Remember, lads, I'm actually 3-1 up at this moment in time. We are into
God.
the last 2 weeks before Christmas. You've got some work to do if it's going to save Dave's pocket money and make me do some sort of evil forfeit. I don't know.
I've got it
wear
today.
a half and
I've got
half
it.
Borough Newcastle shirt or something.
got
Right,
it.
so.
Balotelli
we have
Mario.
I'm dialed in.
It's not, no, absolutely not. Nothing to do with him. We have a doozy of a fact for you today, though. It is an absolute belter. So, without further ado, you have 4 clues. There is a wonderful fact that is hidden behind those 4 clues. You have to guess what that fact is.
Sunderland were the only team in the northeast to win this weekend.
Oh, that's not it, but it's a very true statement.
Okay.
That's just a statement.
I was expecting it to be that.
That's a factual account of the weekend, Dave. Right, so your first clue. In an FA Cup draw, this would be some trick to pull out of the hat. In an FA Cup draw, this would be some trick to pull out of the hat.
Hey Siri,
how
who
good
did
is
the
that
best
music, by
trick
the way?
in FA Cup?
Joe, don't you dare. How good is this music, by the way?
Some trick.
They
to
don't
pull
write
out of
they
that.
don't write movie soundtracks like this anymore.
Well, there's always the Benny Hill show. I mean, we could do the Benny Hill show if that's more appropriate.
Newcastle's defence, isn't it?
I'm still proud of the trumpets.
Oh, I've got some great trumpet music, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, as a bed, I'm just thinking, how can we use it? Yeah, you'll be impressed, Ted. You'll be impressed. Lots of trumpets.
Oh,
so anyway,
I do like
what
some trumpet.
the fact in the FA Cup draw? This would be some trick to pull out of the hat. Ian Wright pulled rabbit out of hat. No, okay,
No.
all right. Always seems to be Ian Wright for some reason.
I mean, come on, you never get it off 4 clues. You're not going to get it off the first one, are you? Oh, Ted Smug, he's going to win the game. It's going to be 4-1.
Pin back
yeah, you
Killer
need
goals.
Daniil on this
someone.
one.
Anybody.
We need someone.
Anybody. We can't.
Daniil's my nemesis.
We can't have
He's
the
an evil
Mackham
genius.
running off with a 4-1 scoreline because that would be really painful for Newcastle
Mackhams
fans.
love 4-1 scorelines. I'm
So,
sorry, Steve.
Every
I'm sorry.
Borough fan
We won
listening,
4-1, didn't we? with
every
Shearer's last
Newcastle
goal?
fan listening, we need your help today. Don't go to work. Tell the boss it's okay to have the morning off. Just stay with us until the very end. We need as much help as we can get here. So, in an FA Cup draw, this would be some trick to pull out of the hat.
Indeed. I know I've took
Okay.
us slightly over the sports news, but
Yeah, well, you
I think
have.
it was worth it all the same.
Why? Just because it's what the fact.
Yeah. I'm allowed
his
to be a little
birthday.
bit of a diva on my birthday, aren't I?
Well, let's have
Never any other time.
Let's have the sport because Ted's getting carried away. Hark now hear the Borough sing, the Sunderland ran away. I think they're the opening lines at the Riverside. And just for some clarity, I'm not meaning Ted is going religious by playing that song and following the star. I'm meaning
And I am
that was
certainly not the Messiah.
he's just a very
That's
naughty
Mike
boy
Dodds.
to steal the line. Yeah, just to explain, that was number 1 on the day that he was. Was it the number 1 on the day you were born, mate?
It was indeed. It was indeed, which probably
Was it
gives it away
really?
a little
Wow.
bit. Yeah.
Mine was 8 Days a Week
Yeah.
by the Beatles. There you go.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was being like some Beethoven or something like that.
Beethoven.
Look, he's got victory. He's got victory syndrome, hasn't he? He's being a
He
bit.
does.
Hey,
does.
come on. When does this ever happen where all you lot
Yeah,
lose
not
and
wrong.
we win? Come
Yeah,
on.
not wrong.
We haven't had a weekend
Yeah,
like
you're
this
not
for
wrong.
a long time.
Especially
First
after you
time since
sack
I've
your
been doing
manager.
this show.
Milk it.
Yeah,
So I'm going to-
last week was all doom and gloom. You got no manager, and then to say that Sunderland are going to be the only team that wins in the northeast on the weekend. You're kidding me. I don't get it.
I'm gonna milk it for all it's worth. Let's put it that
Good
way.
on you. Good on you, mate.
Enjoy it while you can.
I think we were the
Doesn't
kiss of
last
death on the
long.
Borough. Right, I think we were the kiss
Yeah.
of death on the Borough. You couldn't do your watch along because you were washed out.
No,
because of the
I was,
storm.
yep.
We did our first live match day live from the pub before
I
the
know.
game. I think we were
How'd
there.
it
We were
go?
the kiss of death. It went
Spewing.
really well, actually. Really well. I mean, 2,500 Ipswich fans. Credit to them.
Looked a beautiful pub.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. It was the Six Medals, just near the Riverside.
Very nice.
So I've got to say hi to Neil this morning, the manager, and all the staff who started throwing on their red T-shirts, and the Ipswich fans were in early. They travelled in numbers. It was good to have a chat with them. There was one family we found. There was Dad, who was an Ipswich fan, daughter who was sitting next to him, top to toe in blue and white, and on the other side, Mum, who was a Borough fan in a Borough shirt, and another little girl who was a Borough fan. So the whole family was split down the middle.
Oh, wow.
Which was an interesting conversation to be had. But
Jeez.
I've got I think it was it Amelia? Or Emily, I can't remember her name. But the girl who was bedecked from top to bottom said 2-0 Ipswich. That was a prediction.
Good
So
job.
I should now
Good
track
job.
them down and get 6 numbers for the lottery.
I really should. Absolutely. Speaking
I did
of,
actually.
speaking of
I was. It
enjoyment
was
and
funny.
pubs, boys, go on.
Hang
Go
on, just
Ryan.
quickly. I do have to say I tipped Newcastle to lose 4-2 on Friday. By the way, I was one off.
You did actually, yeah.
I did. I said 4-2,
Yeah.
and everyone laughed at me. Yeah.
I didn't
that's-
laugh.
that's nothing new.
I didn't laugh. Just because I don't find her amusing, I didn't laugh.
I wasn't listening.
That was a joke. I go down on bended knee and apologise profusely. I mean,
Someone give Steve a hug.
I mean, to think of what Rye's put up with, and he's still on this morning. I mean, that's worthy
I know.
of a round of applause.
Yeah,
Hang on.
absolutely.
Where's
Thank you.
Where's Daz's round of applause? There you go.
I'm exhausted. Can you hear it in the voice?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying my best. I'm exhausted.
Your neighbour, mate. I mean, just for those who are listening who don't know, you had a massive storm come through, didn't you? And dumped everything
huge.
it possibly could right where you are.
Yeah.
And one of your
Yeah.
neighbours, his garage is completely submerged. He's lost his
Yeah,
car.
a couple of doors down. Not the one that I continually wake up, because that'd be just completely unfortunate after the year I've given him. But that's 2-3 down, completely gone. The photos on social media, but
Fridge
you
floating.
can
I
see-
mean, that was amazing.
Well, that's the thing. The fridge is floating at the front of the shed there, and you can see the water just getting burnt. But what nobody can see, but behind it is there's a small hatchback. There's a small hatchback literally behind that fridge that's just
Completely
buried
under.
in water. So completely gone. So we got shout out to the Canberra Special Emergency Services, who have just been working around the clock since Friday afternoon, because this is it's going down as one of the worst storms we've ever had in history. So
and even now you've got issues.
wild
haven't you?
scenes.
Even now you've got
Yeah,
issues.
I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone internet. I got 5G going, so we got no proper internet at the moment. So but the power's been on, so we're staying stable at the moment. But it has been it's been a big weekend for storms for sure.
Wow.
It was a tough one for me this morning as well, because in the hotel they only had back bacon and no streak.
Yeah.
I'm a bit upset about it.
What a
I'm
night.
a soldier on through.
God.
We all make sacrifices, right?
All right, turning my phone off.
Who needs enemies?
Speaking of sacrifices, lads, I don't know whether you saw this over the weekend. It was just a little headline that England fans might be banned from drinking beer before the Euro 24 opener in Germany. Now,
Is that beerist?
one, yeah, I think it is
luck with
beerist. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, one, is it even enforceable? And two, is England fans just being targeted unfairly on this? Do you think?
1,000%.
Well, it's-
Good luck.
Well, yeah.
It's an impossible thing. It's an impossible thing to stop people drinking. I mean, you just go to an off license and drink in a hotel if you've got police marching around trying to stop people drinking. But it's impossible, isn't it? I mean, I can't see that. Is there a reason given as to why they're doing it?
Well, it was a German police chief who apparently has come out and sort of declared this. But like you say, I mean, how are you going to stop it? What, you're going to only sell alcohol on production of a non-UK passport? Or it's just ridiculous. And to be honest, Germans asking for papers isn't exactly a nice idea either.
No.
What about poor Herr Flick, who's a big German fan but was born and raised in England and has gone across for a beer, and all he's got's a UK driving licence and passport?
That's it. You know, it's poor Helmut has to suffer like the rest of us. It's I couldn't
Helmut.
think of any more German names.
I was struggling. I'll settle for Herr
I
Flick.
don't know why Helmut came to mind, but I'm instantly regretting it.
You realise what we've come up with there, don't you? The worst possible German name, Helmut Flick. I do
Please.
apologise to all our German listeners.
Sounds very painful. I think we should move on.
Oh no.
Moving on.
Right, I'll tell you what, we'll talk Calvin Phillips, right? This is how far Man United have sunk, by the way. Man United not only obviously getting absolutely humiliated at home by Bournemouth, but they've made Calvin Phillips their number one January target. Now,
Wow.
Picking up your noisy neighbours' kind of reserve players is bad enough, but I mean, moving to your rivals, it's just, does it ever really work? And is that what Man United now have to resort to get players in?
I think first point is they're no longer noisy neighbours, are they? I think you've got Manchester City and you've got the poor neighbours.
Yes. Probably a good fact, to be fair.
Oh, Steve's off.
I think for me, Man United have got to a lot to sort out in their own backyard before they go and bring anyone else in. That's for me. I think Ten Hag needs to. One, they need to sort of commit and show that there's some long-term plans there with Ten Hag. They've obviously got issues with Sancho. They've got issues, with a few other players. I mean, you're hearing rumours after that Newcastle defeat that he's lost half the dressing room, and that you see rumours. The other thing on social media with Rashford going, why the F am I here? Like, I think for me, before you go bringing anyone else in, you can't. It's like putting icing on a tiered cake that's got no structure to it. It's just going to keep falling down. Do you know what I mean? You can't keep putting your Calvin Phillips, whatever other signings you can on top of this tower that's just going to fall from underneath still. If he's got problems in the dressing room, if he's got issues with culture, if he's got issues with players fighting, I mean, for me, the first thing Man United have got to do in those first couple of weeks is sort out the Sancho thing, get him out of the club if he doesn't want to be there, get rid of that. Talk about whether Ten Hag's there long term or not, right? Because if I'm a player looking at Man United at the moment, I don't want to go there because who knows? Unless they're going to pay me, because money talks, which they can. But if I'm going in as a new Man United player, right, and I want to fight for that badge, then I need to know that badge is behind me as well. You know what I mean? I think that that makes sense because I doubt Man United, due to financial fair play, can blow anyone away with salaries unless they get rid of Sancho and stuff like that. So it's two parts for me with Man United. I can get why they'd be going for Calvin Phillips, and I think some of those more English-based moves would be smart, especially for players that know Man United and want to fight for that badge. But you have to clear out and get your structure, get your stability first. In those first couple of weeks, it is crucial for Man United to sort out the Sanchos, sort out the Rashfords, sort out whatever it is, and then hopefully towards the back end, build on by bringing in some good quality players. But yeah, my goodness.
Do they just take the hit on the money? Because, I mean, Sancho, for one, Sancho's not going to command the same fees what he went to Man United on, surely, because,
I'm hearing swaps. Yeah, I'm hearing all types of things. I'm hearing they're going to swap him. I'm hearing they're going to just loan him out. You know what I mean? There could be anything, really, by the end of it, couldn't it? It's wild. It's a wild situation.
Makes you wonder what he's done. Or what he's doing in that dressing room.
Yeah,
because,
good
ultimately, you can understand one manager falling out with a player, but then if they're already talking about getting him out when the next, if another manager comes in, then it's clearly something this guy's doing wrong. But I agree with you. There seems to be a multitude of problems at Manchester United, and we've spoken about it for months on this show, and Ten Hag becoming increasingly under pressure after that result at the weekend. But I never thought in a million years I would see them linked with a Manchester City cast-off, because Calvin Phillips obviously has got one eye on the Euros, being linked consistently with Newcastle because of the Tonali situation, leaving us slightly short in midfield. And, you just think, well, is he really going to go to Manchester United? We've talked on this show as well, the three of us, about players moving from Newcastle to Sunderland primarily. But, there's been players who've gone to, from Newcastle to Borough to Newcastle or whatever. And I think if you put 100% effort in for the shirt, then fans take to you. You can't get, you can't go wrong if you do that. And if you show exactly the same kind of, commitment to the cause, then fans will take to you. The early days are going to be a bit stressful for you. Fans will be watching you with that extra scrutiny. You'll always be a Mag or a Mackham or a Smoggy to the fans, but you can win their hearts.
Chopper's a great example of that, Steve.
Yeah, he is. I mean, apart from Chopra did fantastically well until he played Newcastle in the derby, and then everyone was looking saying, did he deliberately put that ball wide? Lee Clark, a wonderful servant. Lots of Sunderland fans I know, speak very highly of Lee Clark.
I still rate Clark. It really, really is one of our best midfielders in modern day, without a doubt. And I know I joke about the T-shirt and all that sort of thing. Hey, we've all made mistakes relating to work, but Clarkey, fantastic.
And in the 90s, we were thankful to have the likes of Barry Venison and Paul Bracewell. It was amazing to have two players come in and make such a big difference. And that they had played for the opposition as well. So it can happen. You can do well. I'm not sure whether Calvin Phillips will end up in Manchester United. Who knows what is going to happen with him? Is he happy sitting on the bench? Some players are. You certainly haven't heard anything from the player at all. Is it the agent linking him with these different moves? Is it just the press? We'll wait and see. There's only less than a month to go now till the transfer window opens. But one would imagine Calvin Phillips, if he's any type of pro, is not going to be happy sitting on the bench and not getting any game time. But it doesn't seem to affect Gareth Southgate. He tends to pick him for the squads anyway, and he's in there whether he's playing game time or not. But I can't imagine Ten Hag's going to last much longer, lads, after that result.
No.
That's the question. I was going to ask him, how much is he teetering now?
Yeah,
what's the next set of fixtures? What is this? I mean, we've all got busy times over the Christmas period, but I'm not sure what Manchester United's next 3 games are. But you would imagine that that's going to be the big test for him. And if he's got
tomorrow against Bayern Munich, then Liverpool away. Oh wow, it just gets better and better for them, doesn't it? Oh dear. Yeah, I reckon no by Christmas then.
Hang on. Have you looked further ahead? Then away to West Ham is possible. Villa. Yeah.
Can't rule them out in the minute. Have you changed your mind on that now, Steve? Villa? Because we spoke last week.
No.
We said really?
No.
2 points off the top going into Christmas.
Nah, definitely not, mate. Definitely not. Listen, you don't win anything in December, and Villa will slip. I think. I mean, it's only 3 weeks ago. People are telling everybody, these so-called experts are telling people that Spurs are going to win the league. Well, they're not, and it's going to be between Manchester City.
They looked like
and
league
Liverpool,
winners yesterday.
Yeah, they did. But Manchester City, and Liverpool for me are probably going to be the two. I don't think I'll stand by what I said as well. Arsenal are always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yep.
Villa are doing okay at the minute. There's no doubt about it. They are the form team of the moment. But I had this discussion over the weekend. Unai Emery is a decent manager with. But if he goes to a big club, he struggles. So he's doing very well with Villa. But I just can't see it continuing. I really don't. But, never say never. Lots of people doubted Leicester, didn't they, back in the day? And look what they did. They went on, they said this run of form can't continue. And they went on to win the league. But I can't see
they're doing
Man City.
Ugly bit, Steve. They're doing the ugly bit now. And I admire that. When a team doesn't play pretty, but they can still grind out results. And that was a grafting performance against Arsenal yesterday. Yes, I know they got the rub of the green with one decision maybe. But when teams do that, and it is very, very similar to how Leicester won the league, you're right to bring that up. It's, if we're still sitting here maybe in February and they're still up there and the 2 points off the top, you're kind of going, do you know what? There's a chance they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're playing good football. They're well coached. Unai Emery is a coach that wasn't given enough time at Arsenal again. There's a reason he's brought into Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And then he got the sack way too early into that sort of tenure. But you can see, with the young player list, you know what I mean, at Aston Villa, that he's just got them playing for the right cause, and they're just doing wondrous things. And whether they're another Leicester or not, I don't think so. I think your Liverpools, your Arsenals are probably still going to be up there. Man City, I think, are going to still fight. I mean, Man City are just going to fix their problems come January because they're just going to buy whatever they need. You know what I mean? So I think, and also just beneath them in Man United and Newcastle, are a good transfer window away from fixing their injury list as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's 16 games in, you know what I mean? And they're doing, but the football they've played so far is incredible. And you can't write it off for sure. And Unai Emery is a very good coach. I think they'll be in there around about that 7th or 6th mark for me. But I think they will lose gap. I think Man City, Tottenham, Man United, Newcastle, all beneath them will still push on and push above them at some point. It's good to see, and that's what you want to see in the Premier League, isn't it? Another story like Leicester, but Yeah, I just think at some point the big boys will catch up. And as I said, the January transfer window for me, once you get past that and you see the squads that are going to be finishing the season on, that's when you can sort of go, right, this is where they're at, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Obviously, we're steamrolling towards the 10 o'clock news, lads. Do you want the second clue for
10 o'clock news?
Oh, 8 o'clock then.
I don't say much, mate, but I'm as sharp as a tack on a Monday morning. Not
That's weird. My clock's changed on the laptop. Oh, come on, I'm on holiday.
And it's his birthday. We'll let him off.
Is it my birthday? Nobody's mentioned it.
Hey, we're playing your request for the Christmas song as well.
I'll tell you what, you're too good to me, you lads.
It's because it's your birthday. If you don't like, dear listener, if you don't like the music choice this morning, as little as we play, then you can blame the birthday.
I'll guarantee you everyone loves this track that's coming up.
No,
I'll guarantee you now everybody will love this. Best band in the world.
There you go. Keep them in suspenders for a bit longer, Ted.
We're coming up to 8 o'clock, so should we have the second clue for what the fact?
If we've got to.
What the... I've got to be very careful. I haven't got it queued up, that's the problem. Yeah, no,
someone is going to mess that up one day.
I'm trying
really
to...
that'll be the end of it.
I hope not.
No. I mean...
It's the fact. The fact.
The birthday boy's fact.
I love the fact that you're all joining in. Actually, that's just heartwarming. So, your first clue for what the fact was: in an FA Cup draw, this would be some trick to pull out of the hat. Your second clue is: it's against the law. It's against the law.
Oh.
Who's broken the ball? Who's broken the ball? Pull the balls out.
It's against the law.
Something to do with warm balls, lads.
It's the way he said it, isn't it? It's the way he said it. It's against the law. Is he imitating someone?
Could be, but you know that I've been on occasion known to throw a red herring. And you've gobbled it up like a greedy heron.
Herrings, kippers, whitings, you've thrown a lot at us to get us off the trail. I'm just expecting the cod to come landing in my face.
Oh, do you know what? Anyway, no, I'll save that for another time. I had a cod-related fact anyway, but there you go.
So, FA Cup draw. It'd be some trick to pull this out of the hat. And clue number 2, it's against the law.
The law. Yes. Any guesses? Where's Daniil?
I don't know. Oh, hang on. There is Daniil. He's dropped one in. Daniil's
Daniil.
Yes.
Oh.
Win it.
I like the cut of his cloth. He's gone off on a tangent here, which is exactly what Ted tends to do.
This worries me.
This worries you. Okay. Daniil, I think from Gateshead, has said a guess at what the fact. Luton Town, the Hatters being their nickname.
He's along the right lines.
Oh, get in.
Daniil,
Come on. You are on the trail, my detective friend.
It's against the law.
When do me and Daniil get our own game show on here? Come on.
Come on, mate. Get the juices flowing. Get the thinking juices flowing. Something.
What's against the law?
Was that
playing an unregistered player?
Yeah, it could be. Or have they got a player that's been called law?
I'm thinking it's Dennis Law, as in like Man City's Dennis Law sort of thing.
Playing Luton Town.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Dennis Law, because if you remember, they played. Didn't Dennis Law play in a 1960-ish, where they won like 6-2 or 6-3 or something like that? Dennis Law played, and he scored all 6 goals against Luton Town in the FA Cup. It's like in the 1960s or something like that. I remember.
Have you Googled that?
No. That's
Yes, you have.
that's Luton Town.
Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye.
Come on.
I'm
So
looking you in the eye.
It's got something to
I've
do
got
with
no
Dennis
internet.
Law.
I've got no
Luton
internet.
Town.
I have got no internet. I remember researching when Luton Town got promoted to the
Got no
Premier League.
internet.
and
You're
then-
literally live on the radio over the internet.
I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone. Dennis Law has scored
You are
6
an
goals
awful
against Luton
liar.
Town.
You
I
are a
remember it.
liar and an
I'm
actress.
not Googling it. I am not Googling it. There is no Googling whatsoever. I stand by it. It was Dennis Law, 6 goals
Rice
against
ruined my
Luton Town at some
birthday.
point.
Rice spoiled
No,
it.
that's all I know. That's all I know.
Tetchy Ted. It's
That's all I
Tetchy
know.
Ted on his birthday.
I'm going out on the balcony and I'm not talking for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's going on a balcony to quaff some fine food. And,
Mrs. Ted, will
and drink
Mrs.
his
Ted, make me a
tequila
coffee. I'm too
sunrise.
upset to continue.
Come on.
That's all I know. That's all I know.
On a technicality, I'm going to have to give it a Rye, which means the score is
Oh my
now
God,
3-2.
I got it. Was it Dennis
So
Law?
the actual, you were so close. I have to give you. What's amazing about this fact, right, is in 1961, Dennis Law scored an incredible 6 goals in an FA Cup tie
Yes.
against Luton Town, but the game was abandoned with 20 minutes to go, and ironically,
I didn't know that.
Luton won the replay 3-1.
What the fuck?
God.
What the fuck?
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that. All I knew was that he scored 6 goals.
Just
Wow.
a
There you
mad
go.
fact. But you were so close to it, I couldn't not give
Wow.
it really.
Wow.
It would have
Wow.
been. It would have been a bit finicky.
I think
to
we
find
need-
from there.
I think
Plus,
we-
Daniel would have got it.
We need Daz's applause again, just for Ryan
Thank you.
and
Thank
Daniil
you.
and Daniil, because
Thank you.
he steered us on the right path. Here is I'm handing it, mate. 13,000 miles away, but here is the being correct trophy. There you go, mate. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you
So
to
the other-
Neil, because you made me think of it.
The other
He made
clues
me
about
think of
you
it when
got
you
so-
mentioned Luton.
Well
So
done,
yeah, in
Daniil.
an FA Cup draw, this would have been some trick to pull out of the hat. That was actually a clue towards hat tricks because there was a double hat trick.
Trick hat,
and the
yeah.
fact hat was hatters as well. It's against the law was Dennis Law. The third clue would have been, will you tell next door to keep quiet? Noisy neighbours. I already mentioned them earlier on the show.
And Ryan,
and the
I'd
fourth
go
clue
down the
was-
Ryan angle
And
there.
me.
Yeah,
And me.
yeah.
Yep.
The fourth clue literally was, I think Rye has seen enough of that kind of weather. Obviously, it was abandoned due to torrential rain.
Okay.
All neatly in time
I
to
like
take us
that.
1 minute late for the news.
But apart no, it's 2 minutes actually. But before we do that, Daniil's come back and he's just simply said, "Go Rye." There you go.
Thank you, Daniil.
Yes,
He
go
put me
Rye.
onto it. He put me onto it.
No, it wasn't a positive, right? It was just go. Ruining my day.
We've got the birthday boy sussed. We've got the birthday boy sussed. But just to make
Well
to
done.
make amends, we'll play his most requested Christmas song next. That's after the news. Oh, Ted.
Wake up, the neighbours.
What can we say? What can we say?
Now, how's that for a rockin' Christmas? Isn't that fantastic?
Wow.
That was a banger, that one.
Love
Jeez,
it.
that'll
Love the
get you up in the
Foo Fighters.
morning.
I'm actually coming to the UK next year to go and see them live at Old Trafford, the cricket ground. So yeah, my absolute favourite all-time band. Love them to bits. But yeah, that's
Foo
that's the
Fighters.
way to celebrate Christmas.
Just
Yeah,
for
I love
those,
Foo.
just for those who are wondering.
Oh yeah,
No,
absolutely.
very good song. Very, very good song.
Yeah. Cracking band. And yeah, I love that. I love that. That's not often the cover is as good as the original, but that's one of them, I think. But there you go.
Okay.
Anyway,
Back into the show time.
indeed.
Yeah. So 3-2 the scoreline on What the Fact. I mean, Rye's just thrown an absolute doozy in. Good on you. Good on you, mate.
He bowled a googly, didn't
Thank
he?
you.
Bulled a googly.
Pulled a Google.
You were trying to bull a googly, mate. He just tucked it away.
I didn't
for
Google
France.
it. I'm just saying.
Oh, I see that.
Oh no, sorry.
It's literally in the pre-match notes for Luton Man City. It was one of the things where they're like, the last time we played Man City was blah, blah, blah. It's all over social media. I didn't Google it. I stand by it. I swear on Ted's natural life.
Take him to
I
court.
did not
Take him
Google
to
it.
court, Rye. Take him to
He's
court for
protesting
slander.
too much. I didn't even mean the googly in that respect. I meant it in the cricket parlance. And you've taken it as an accusation. I think, sir, you have a guilty complex.
No, I don't.
Oh, Steve, can you bring some sanity back to this program, please, mate?
I can, mate. Yeah, it's
good man.
what the fact. To be fair, is certainly got the whole of the northeast talking. But I do suspect foul play, lads.
I do as well, Steve. Thank you. I've always thought you were the sensible one of this team.
Right, I'm supporting you, mate. I have complete faith that you haven't pulled a googly.
I don't get. I don't get what I would have googled over. What was the? I mean,
well, I've been on it. Just checking Rye's post on Twitter, and he's admitted he's using the internet via a dodgy stick. If he's doing that, then
call
maybe
the SWAT team.
He could access Google.
No. Sorry, CSI Middlesbrough have been investigating.
I got the phone.
And I think it's such a dodgy connection. If he was to try and do anything else on his connection, we wouldn't be talking to him now. So, no, I'm sticking up for you. I'm sticking up for you.
Thank you very much. No,
CSI Chicago Fleet.
What can I say? I got to thank a few people. I got to thank Daniil for putting me onto it. I got to thank my dodgy stick, and I got to thank Siri as well. I think 3 people that really mean a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for being out there for helping me this morning.
Standing by him. Well, that's him off.
Tell you what, a liar is worse than a thief.
Well, kick a man while he's down.
No, look, I stand by. I didn't Google it.
Okay.
I didn't Google it.
No. It's
I stand by it to the day I die. Heart on my hand.
It's fine.
Yep. Hand on my chest. Didn't do it. No. I'm innocent.
Or fans don't lie.
Yeah, because Australia's full of innocent people, isn't it? Historically.
We're going to get shut down here. Absolutely.
Steve, there's something missing from this show.
Go on.
And there's only one man can actually bring
common
that.
sense.
Have you got your Christmas cracker jiver?
Don't worry, it's there. I've got it for 8:30, mate. It's ready for 8:30.
You've got it for 8:30, which is 10:30 my time, yeah?
10:30 your time, yeah. Depending on which country you're in.
Absolutely.
I've been doing my second news headlines though.
All right. We'll put some meat on them bones, have we?
I'm happy to go first, boss. I'm happy to go first.
All right, okay. Rewrite.
Well, let's go.
Wow. I mean, I've never had anybody put their hand up and go, please, sir, can I go first? But here we go with Steve and Newcastle News.
Magpies and Proud. Mags News.
Good morning, Newcastle United fans. Australian radio presenter Rye, infamous for waking up his neighbours whilst doing watch-alongs, covering his football team Middlesbrough FC, defeated Ted the Mackem at his What the Fact game, despite it being his birthday today. Ted thought he had a tricky question and was hoping to take a 4-1 lead, but Rye picked the clues apart to make it 3-2. Ted is now considering legal action as he suspects foul play involving a dongle and a didgeridoo. The investigation continues. Newcastle United women cruised past Stoke City women and into the 4th round of the DEC Women's FA Cup on Sunday, defeating the Potters 5-0 at Gateshead International Stadium. Bridget Galloway and Anna Soulsby's braces sandwiched a solo effort from Katie Barker as the Magpies booked their spot in the next stage of the competition against an opponent who also reside in the FA Women's National League Northern Premier Division. And Newcastle lost 4-1 at Spurs with Joe Linton grabbing the consolation. That's your Newcastle news.
Best one yet, Steve. Best one yet.
So proud, Steve.
Round of applause.
Mackems and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Hope you're waking up well this Monday morning. Mike Dodds said that he expects to be in charge for Leeds United's visit to the Stadium of Light on Tuesday night. Dodds won his first game as interim head coach against West Brom on Saturday lunchtime, with the club currently interviewing potential candidates to succeed Tony Mowbray. Dodds has, however, swerved any talk of whether he wants to be a contender for the position full-time, but he is known to have a lot of admirers behind the scenes at the club. Asked if he was enjoying leading the side, he said, "I have to be careful what I say here. I am enjoying it. The only difference for me is this press conference. I mean that respectfully to whoever has worked at the football club previously." Sky Sports pundit and Sunderland legend Kevin Phillips blasted the poor decision-making from the refereeing team in Saturday's lunchtime match against West Brom. Sunderland had a goal incorrectly chalked off as offside. However, replays showed that Joe Bellingham was onside by a considerable margin. "I think they were hard done by," said former Sunderland West Brom striker Phillips to Sky Sports at half-time. "You can clearly see that the goal should have stood. If we had VAR, it would have been given. The linesman is on this side, so all you can see in his defence is that the two West Brom players are blocking his vision, but the level of officiating nowadays should be able to see that. It was onside. Sunderland could feel very hard done by not going in at half-time 1-0 up. And finally, Alex Pritchard's super sub performance certainly caught the eye on Saturday. If Pritchard hadn't been introduced into the contest by Dodds, Sunderland might well have continued to struggle going forward and trudge maybe over the line to a draw or even a loss. Instead, with the diminutive 30-year-old on the pitch, the game became more comfortable for Sunderland, with the 5'7" attacking midfielder managing to constantly find pockets of space to then cut open a determined Baggies back four at will. As per SofaScore, Pritchard was 100% accurate with all of his passes in the short but sweet cameo, with two of those passes ending up assisting Ballard and Neil. The assist for Dan Neil's goal in particular was impressive, a swift and effective counter-attack, with Pritchard's pass parting the West Brom defence before Neil dinked away the chance calmly. And that's your headlines this Monday morning for Sunderland.
Smoggies and proud. Borough News.
An incredible afternoon as Dennis Law scores all 6 goals. Wrong tab, my bad, hang on, sorry.
Wow.
Wrong tab. Hang on, sorry. I had the wrong tab open, my bad. Michael Carrick has admitted Borough were unable to find another gear in the 2-0 defeat to Ipswich Town. Against one of the best teams Borough have played this season at the Riverside, Borough never really threatened Ipswich as the injury crisis has well and truly taken its toll. Borough looked tired, and albeit a latte lass who looked lively, he was still unable to finish 2 of the best chances in the afternoon. Although losing 2 in a row, it's hardly a time we can be critical of the Borough, as both Leeds and Ipswich will be likely contenders. It does, however, ring now that Borough's ambitions this season might need to be subdued, as Carrick still needs to build his squad to cope with such injury crisis in the future. And despite this being a 3rd defeat in 4 games, Borough still remain 12th in the league table and just 3 points off the playoff paces. In that respect, the Ipswich defeat, while disappointing because of how flat the performance was not too damaging in the grander scheme. And now with 7 games to play until January transfer window opens, it feels like an obvious pre-January goal is emerging with that injury list in mind. The January transfer window will hopefully come at a time that Borough will have welcomed back some of more injured players from the senior squad. And regardless, the January transfer window also offers Borough a chance to try and improve or perhaps fine-tune the squad in hope that giving them the extra edge to push for the playoffs in the second half of the season. It is imperative that, with that in mind, as best as they can, Borough try and use every point available between now and then to keep that distance to a minimum. Borough continue to be linked with Joe Worrell and Scott McKenna from Nottingham Forest, and opening the January transfer window could not come soon enough, as Borough will look to bolster their team to try and cope with the long season ahead. Borough will invite Hull City to the Riverside this Thursday or Wednesday night, Thursday morning Australian time. And one good note is that under Michael Carrick, Middlesbrough have never lost 3 games in a row. So we go to Hull, right? We bring them down to the Riverside, we smack them 8-0, and we're back talking everything happy again. That is your Borough headlines.
What?
I mean, what the fact headlines. Ted, despite being hammered all weekend for his birthday celebrations, has been hammered again this morning because Rye plucked one out of the Canberra sky, slight clearing in the clouds, a little bit of blue sky, sunshine.
He plucked it from the cloud. Yes, he did.
Thank you, Google.
Plucked it. But the mere fact is, it is now Ted 3, the programme 2. It is getting tight, and those are your programme headlines.
Ted, Rye and Steve, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the red, the cat, and the tin.
So what next on Google then? I mean the programme schedule, fellas.
It's not
Dave, thanks for that message as well. I really appreciate it.
Go on,
Dennis Law, wasn't it, Dave? Oh, sorry, are we on? Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, go.
We're back
Sorry,
on, mate.
sorry,
We're back
guys.
on. We're back
Sorry,
on.
guys. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so I'll tell you
where were
what,
we, Ted?
We'll have a little focus on Middlesbrough, being as you're so gobby this morning.
I love that word.
Gobby.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It suits him so beautifully. No, mate, I wanted to know, because I know you spoke a little bit about the game and all that sort of thing. I know you might have had limited a chance to review it as well.
I did.
But
Yeah, I
did. Do you think Ipswich were really that good, or has this just highlighted the need for Borough to get to January and get to the transfer window?
I do think, look, I'm going to be honest, and I know it might go against what a few people think. I actually think Ipswich are very good. I I honestly think Sam Morsey is incredible. And it's funny enough that he was a Middlesbrough player at one point in his career, and it was funny that we let him go at the age of 30, and now it looks like he's playing his best football in comparison when, you know, we had also his partner in crime, who albeit didn't play on the weekend, but Massimo Luongo, you know, so those two are driving Ipswich into, you know, a comfortable, you know, second position. And I think they honestly will give every team on their day, you know, their passing and their movement is incredible. They're tactically, you know, very, very sound. I think they're well coached, well drilled. It's amazing as well, because you look at that team and we spoke a couple of, you know, shows ago about the wage bill in the championship. They're a bunch of no names. You know what I mean? They've literally got some of these players that you're like, what? You know what I mean? And they wouldn't be commanding big salaries, but they are absolutely playing out of their boots for that team. And I really do think Ipswich will be there or thereabouts. On the same regard, Borough were well off it. I mean, we were well off it. We looked tired. We looked ragged. You know, the games are catching up with us with such a short squad. You know, Carrick the only change, you know, was to be able to bring Sam Greenwood back in because he couldn't play against Leeds. So, you know, to keep playing consistently the same players week in, week out, when especially December, when we're talking 3-4 days gap between each game, it was going to catch up with you, especially in the championship as well. Do you know what I mean? Where you don't have the depth at all, you know, to bring anyone off that bench of significance when there's 9, and I'm telling you, like, there's 9 players out of this squad that would literally walk back into this first team. So it was a bit of both, I think. I think we came against a very good Ipswich team, but we were also very poor undermanned. So it was a combination of that. You chuck that all into a pot and, you know, you get a 2-0, you know, loss out of the way at the Riverside. So yeah, I think, you know, we're sort of crawling, if you would, leopard crawling to January, trying to get there so we can get some reinforcements. We hope over the next few weeks a few players come back. But the scary thing for me is that most of these players now have been out for such a long time that they're probably missing match fitness. They're probably not going to be able to walk straight back in. We saw Dale Fry come back in on the weekend, but that's funny enough, I thought, Dave, it messed us up even more because it moved Vandenberg back to right back, where I don't think he's as comfortable as he is a centre back. So
and he's done well.
Interesting.
He's done well taking up that centre back position, which is natural position as well. I was there at the Riverside, and you're right. Ipswich are a good team, but it's two teams who played exactly the same type of football. They like to get the ball, they like to pass it around, patient build-ups. But the difference between the two is Ipswich, as soon as they got into the Borough's half, they just upped it a gear, and suddenly this side-to-side possession style of football changed, and they were on the front foot straight away. They were looking for space. They didn't mind having a go from distance. They were happy to whip the ball in. They were running at players. The Borough just looked leggy. They just looked so tired. I mean, there were chances we had. One right in front of me where I think it was Greenwood could have whipped the ball into the penalty area. It was a great position to cross. He'd got behind the fullback. He could have whipped it across and caused havoc. He chose just to put his foot on the ball and go backwards into midfield, and that summed the Borough up.
I think that's been partly some of the frustration with Sunderland as well, is not being able to like switch that gear. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, Dave, that those kind of matching styles, I guess, of Ipswich and Middlesbrough. Do you think that's something to do with the coaching setup at Man United? Obviously, both Carrick and the Ipswich coach have come through the ranks there. Do you think that's something that's sort of bred into them a little bit?
Good point, that. Like.
Yes. I think it is. I think it is. I think they did their badges together as well. So not only did only did they share the time at Manchester United, so know each other well. So picked up that United style of play. Not the current first team. It's got to be said at Old Trafford, but you know what I mean. But also they did their badges together, so all the coaching and all the theory that are being given at the same time was the same, and you can see it in the way the two teams line up, the way they play, the way they like to hold the ball, dominate possession, play it around. But on the day, there was one team that was streets ahead.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, no, it was funny. It was funny. You saw parts of Borough in the way Ipswich played. So honestly, McKenna and Carrick are a chip off the old block. They really are. And Carrick spoke in length about doing their badges together and how when Carrick was at Man United, McKenna was a coach there, and they swapped days and days of their thoughts on tactical gameplay and how it should be played and all this sort of stuff. And you could see exactly the way Ipswich set up is exactly the way Carrick's trying to do. It's just unfortunate that we've got the injuries and probably we're still lacking, some of the players that have really sort of, I guess, grasped into that sort of play style as well, where Ipswich have done it. They've done it in League One all last season. Do you know what I mean? They're probably 12 months or so ahead of Borough in the planning, I reckon, and it was evident on the weekend.
And is that a significant win, lads, now in the Championship, because that gives Ipswich breathing space?
I think it is for them.
Yeah.
I think it is for them.
They're clear.
I mean, I was in the pub before the game for a couple of hours. We were doing it live on the Red, the pre-match build-up with the fans. And the Ipswich, almost without exception, the Ipswich fans were concerned. They were thinking that the Carrick factor would come out, and there was a chance they could lose that game. I mean, that's the sort of approach they had to the game. But as soon as the boots were pulled on and that referee blew his whistle, you could see there was only one team that were dominating, that were confident, that were happy to go on the front foot, that wanted to attack. It was ominous. The first 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just watching it was ominous.
I think they're a better footballing side to watch than what Leicester are, and that's saying something as well, because Leicester have been, the very kind of imperious form, but Leicester are almost like bullying their way through games because they've got that Premier League squad. What you've got to bear in mind with this Ipswich squad is that came up from League One last season. They've only made a few additions to it. The likes of Nathan Broadhead, who Sunderland had on loan, who's a danger man. If they can keep him fit, he's such an influential player. So good technically, very, very quick as well. You talk about being able to switch it up a gear in that final third, Dave, and that's exactly the sort of player that Broadhead is and what he can do. My worry is, though, and obviously we've seen it with the three teams who went up in the Premier League from last season, all of them are struggling. Now, Ipswich play possession-based, attacking football. Do you think they could actually cut it? Well, we'll go with Steve first because he's the resident, I guess, Premier League expert. Steve, do you reckon Ipswich could actually cut it?
I think the gap's getting too big, lads, for teams, who've been down that far. You need a massive amount of money to be able to compete in the Premier League. And as you know, when you get back in the Premier League, it's about standing still. It's about trying to finish fourth bottom and stay up. And what I've seen of Ipswich, I just don't know whether they've got the capability of doing it with the personnel they've got, certainly. But then, where's the investment going to come from? But to stay up, we've seen it this season already with the teams that we currently see languishing in the bottom three. It's Sheffield United bottom, Burnley second bottom, and Luton third bottom. And despite heroics in recent weeks from Luton, they still really can't get those wins that they need on the board to get them out of it. Everton 10 points deducted this season. And find themselves 4 points now out of the bottom three. So we're starting to see a gap open up, and I just can't see Ipswich being a team that would come up and be able to buck the trend. The gap's getting bigger, it really is, and that's not good for the game, really. It's not good for competition, because you want to see teams come up and hold their own and do what maybe Nottingham Forest have managed to do over the last few weeks, or do what Wolves have managed to do. And it has to be said, even before the takeover, do what Newcastle had done in previous seasons, managed to stay up. It was a survival game for Newcastle before this takeover. Newcastle and Brighton have done particularly well, but that's taken great effort behind the scenes at Brighton, who've had a conveyor belt of youngsters come through who they've been able to sell to keep afloat.
Tremendous recruitment.
100%, yeah. So it's so difficult. So I can't see Ipswich, if they do get promoted, doing anything other than struggle and potentially come straight back down. It's different for Leicester. It's different for Southampton, because those two teams have both been in the Premier League. Different for Leeds, I would say as well. If those teams, if either one of any of those teams come up, or a couple of those teams come up, they'll be in a position where they could probably invest and get some money in and progress. But yeah, Ipswich is going to be one of those teams like Luton who are going to come up and struggle. I can't see them doing anything.
And I think the top four positions in the Championship are already sorted with those four clubs that are currently sitting there. You've got Leicester and Ipswich, which, that result at the weekend, you said, was it a bit of a defining moment, that game at the Riverside? It was for Ipswich, because it retains their 7-point gap over Leeds United in third spot, but there's a split now below because Leeds and Southampton are on good unbeaten runs.
Where did Southampton come from?
I know. I mean,
South Coast.
Shocking at the start.
Hey, but there's a split now opening up between fourth and the rest. because you've got Leicester and Leicester and Ipswich running away with it. Leeds and Southampton are both on great runs, and they're opening a gap now with West Brom in 5th.
6 points, isn't it?
It wasn't a defining result for the Borough, because the Borough are still 3 points off a playoff spot, and they've got Hull City, who currently sit in 6th on Wednesday night. So that's a huge game. That could be a defining game for the Borough, depending on what comes on. I think if there was a team the Borough could afford to lose to, it was Ipswich Town, because it wasn't one of those around them who were battling for those last 2 playoff spots. And so I think Wednesday is more important for the Borough.
Surely now as well, Man United must be having a serious look at Kieran McKenna. Because, coming up further ranks and plays the sort of football that Man United are known for as well. You're going to say Rye, sorry.
Rye's got the storm coming in, so he might disappear on us. Yeah,
he's disappeared again.
So the second part of the storm is he's back. He's there.
I'm back. Am I here? I'm dropping in and out like crazy.
Hanging on by his fingernails.
Just Googling the weather, were you?
Oh my goodness me. I'm sorry. I'm dropping in and out like crazy. But yeah, look, I think McKenna is definitely, a manager that everyone's going to want. Like Sunderland. Sunderland wanted to get, there was talks that you were going to go for him as well. But he's going to be hot property. My answer is that, I completely agree with what Steve was saying. I think the gap's too big. And Ipswich with that team, as I said just before, they're a team of really nobodies. I mean, Connor Chaplin's been playing his trade at Portsmouth for such a long time. He was touted as a very promising youngster, but then kind of fell off it and, landed at Ipswich. Now, unless you seem to do what Nottingham Forest did when you get promoted and then buy the world, it really doesn't seem like you can keep up. And you need to make smart choices when you do buy the world, that all that team's going to come, do well and hang on, because all you need to do is survive one season, and then once you've done that, you can then build on the money and everything like that. So, look, fingers crossed that gap does get shortened at some point. But if you promote them right now, the only team I see potentially hanging on is Leicester, because they've still got.
Because of that squad, yeah, absolutely. Have we lost him again?
He's in and out. We are. Canberra's getting absolutely battered by a storm, another storm at the moment. I suppose an appropriate point to get the sports news in. We'll be back with a bit more, just a tad more on Sunderland, and of course Newcastle. That'll be after this.
Together across the northeast.
The tune, the cat, and the red.
Christmas joke alert! Christmas joke alert! Christmas joke alert! Go on, Steve.
I see. What's the difference between the Polar Express and HS2? One's a fantasy about a train, and the other's a film with Tom Hanks.
Very good. I like that.
Yeah, it's good, that one. Like that one.
That's actually improved somewhat, Steve. I'm pretty impressed with that.
Maybe it was the delivery.
Maybe it wasn't me talking over you again.
Yeah.
Look at him, actor, presenter, joke teller,
comedian. Yeah.
Nice. Is there anything this man can do?
Well, I suppose we better talk about the mags. I've put it off for an hour and a half, lads. I've put it off for an hour and a half.
I wanted to know, Steve, because I think it's weird that Sunderland fans now probably want Newcastle to stay in Europe, just so it kind of further fatigues a depleted squad. Like, it's a bit of strange time. So obviously you've made your feelings known on that one, mate. But obviously now all attention turns to the Tenali derby, I guess, doesn't it?
Can I just point something out? I've made an observation just in 30 seconds, fellas. There's one of you going, oh, I suppose. And there's another one going, hey, whoa, the world is wonderful. I wonder which one's the mag and which one's the mackin.
Yeah, not a good
I've got to
weekend.
enjoy these moments when they come, mate. Go on,
It's
Steve.
not. I mean, you've got the Milan game coming up, but I've made my point quite clear on that. I'm not really concerned about that at all. I want to get out of Europe as quickly as possible. I don't want to go into the group stages of the Champions League. I don't want to go into the Europa. I'd like to fully focus on the Carabao Cup and get into the semi-final, hopefully getting a favourable draw and then getting to Wembley again in February. That would be my ultimate. And then obviously I want to beat Sunderland in the FA Cup, and I want to see Newcastle then in the new year try and get at least one or two players in, whether we sign a player and get a loan player just to bolster the squad, and then push on in the Premier League, try and get some results in the Premier League. But at the moment, it's a tough period, and it's what we expected a few weeks ago. We were looking at the fixtures that week in particular, where we were looking at Chelsea, PSG and Manchester United with a depleted squad after losing back-to-back games against Borussia Dortmund and losing against Bournemouth. We were looking and saying, we're not going to get anything out of this. We're going to get hammered by PSG, and we'd be lucky if we get a couple of points against Chelsea and Manchester United. But that week, basically, I think we spent ourselves that week. We beat Chelsea 4-1. We got a 1-1 in Paris Saint-Germain, which should have been a win, and we got a 1-0 home win against Man United. But in the space of 3-4 days, we've lost against Everton away, and we've lost against Tottenham 4-1. And there was potentially moments in yesterday's game where Newcastle could have scored and might have changed the game, but we were on the crest of a slump after the Everton game. Newcastle should have been out of sight against Everton midweek. There should have been two or three goals up. Everton would have been flat, and Newcastle would have come away with the 3 points, but it didn't happen, and it looked as if there was a major hangover from that yesterday, despite the fact that Wilson was back, despite the fact that Longstaff was back and available. We just aren't at full strength. We can't do what we were doing a couple of weeks ago because we're picking the same team. I don't understand why some of those players yesterday weren't given an opportunity to start, and when I say those players, you're looking at Newcastle's bench yesterday, and you're saying, well, yeah, okay, Matt Ritchie is, he's not what he was, he's a lot older, not as quick, not as agile, but give one of the players a rest and let him play. Paul Dummett didn't let us down at Old Trafford, put him centre half and give Lascelles a rest, or give Fabian Schär a rest. Lewis Hall. Why isn't Lewis Hall getting a look in?
Fantastic in the cup game against Man United.
Exactly. Why isn't he getting a look in? And why are we insisting on playing Kieran Trippier, who clearly needs a rest? Put Livramento right back and bring Hall in left back and start with those players, and then bring Trippier on. Give him a chance. So for me, ultimately, the decision now is taken out of Eddie Howe's hands. Trippier got booked yesterday, so now he will sit out the game against Fulham. So now there's an opportunity for Lewis Hall to come in and potentially put himself into that position. Lascelles, Joe Linton, and Sean Longstaff are now on 4 yellow cards. So again, if one of those or a couple of those get booked next week, he's going to have the decision removed from him. You've just got to hope that the players can come in and do well and give Eddie Howe a decision to make. My fear is for Lewis Miley. I mean, he's a young lad. He's now involved in a team which has lost back-to-back games and comprehensively lost them. I hope it doesn't knock his confidence in moving forward. He's a young lad being asked to do a man's job. Did very well in those 3 games I mentioned earlier, but you just got to hope that this little run doesn't knock his progression back. But yeah, I mean, very little positive to come out of the last 2 games. The goal differences took a little hammering as well, which isn't great. And
it's chipped away, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. We've literally just got to move on. Interesting to see that we had our chief commercial officer, Peter Silverstone, in amongst the away support yesterday. Obviously on a little fact-finding mission. What he was doing, I'm not sure. There was lots of seats unoccupied again. I think most of those seats unoccupied will have probably been down to the travel problems Newcastle faced yesterday. Obviously, trains running south.
It was a back shift, was it? Oh.
Yeah, it was overhead lines were down, weren't they? Unfortunately, and there was no trains travelling from Edinburgh to Edinburgh yesterday, so it was complete chaos on the railways. I think the first train at 8:30 got through, and then there was no train, so many Newcastle fans had to take to the road and drive down yesterday after arriving at the station to find that their trains had been cancelled. But there is this issue as well that we have of people still buying tickets and not using them, and Newcastle fans, obviously trying to keep their loyalty points for some games. will pick and choose the games they want to go to. So maybe that's what Silverstone was doing there. But yeah, look, all in all, back to the football. Disappointing day. We've just got to stop the rot. Whether that means we do that. Put a weekend side out against Milan and take the obvious exit, and focus on Fulham next week and try and get players fit and ready for that game next week. I don't know, but it's a bad end to a bad week for Newcastle United. It's the best way to look at it, lads.
You're still in 7th though, Steve. I mean, I know some of the fans, there's grumbles. Like, in fact, you always put this so well. You've got the social media fans out there. You're still in 7th. You're a point behind Man United. I can't believe Man United are still 6th because they are literally dreadful at the minute. But there you go.
Yeah.
Spurs, obviously, Spurs are not too far ahead of you. They're 4 points ahead. It's not all doom and gloom. Surely that the fans can't be that serious about having a pop at Eddie Howe and all he's achieved. Surely not.
I mean, I genuinely keep off, X as it's called now, because that's a cesspit, and I don't want to get involved in spats with people online, and I don't even put my opinion out after a defeat now, because something gets misconstrued and you end up getting lambasted or attacked or whatever. So I just don't do it now. It's the best way to be. Facebook's a bit more civilised. You put stuff out on there, but I just keep my opinions to myself and keep them for the radio show, which is the best way to do it. I think some fans, all just come along for the ride, but I see some very seasoned Newcastle fans who again just choose social media to use 160 letters to spout some bile and some rubbish and aiming at a player, and I just don't see the point in doing that. I mean, some of these players do read social media. I'm sure it knocks their confidence, and they're not happy about it. But it's we've had a great run so far, and you're right. The results at the top of the Premier League are very interesting at the moment. Manchester City on a bad run, Manchester United on a bad run, Arsenal stuttering, Spurs, apart from yesterday, have had a mismatch of results in recent weeks. Only Aston Villa are pushing ahead at the moment with a good little run. So it's all to play for, and that's what I'm saying. Newcastle just need to keep themselves in contention going into the new year, and if you finish 6th and you end up in the Europa League next year, that's not a disgrace. It's European qualification, and it's not the Champions League, which may upset some people. But for me, we're way ahead of schedule. We keep saying it, but we're at least 2 to 3 years ahead of where the owners were expecting us to be. And every single team that has a European campaign for the first time in such a long time stutters and struggles, and injuries play their part. So we'll learn from this. You do see people having a pop at Eddie Howe and his formation and etc. But I always say he's the man who works with these people on a day-to-day. Yeah, but he works with them on the day-to-day basis as well. Yeah. Only he knows how fit Isak is. Only he knows how fit Callum Wilson and Sean Longstaff were to be on the bench yesterday. And at the moment we are running on empty. So, the sooner the injury list clears up, the better for us. And then, hopefully Eddie Howe will have more options as we get closer to the Christmas period.
We had a call from a Mr. Musk about your comments about X. But there you go. That's for another subject. Rise disappeared. It looks like the Storms were taking him out once and for all as far as this morning's programme is concerned. He's having a right battle there, isn't he?
He's having a Western, isn't he?
Trees coming down, and he's had no internet for 4 days, and geez, all that sort of stuff. But I tell you, out there in Australia, I've been there. When they get storms, It's a biggie.
It is indeed. Hopefully he's all right. I know he'll still be listening to the show, and his wife will be going absolutely crazy at him for doing that as well. But
somehow, he'll be listening.
Steve rightly mentioned social media, and Dave, you sent us a little message in the WhatsApp group that we don't talk about. Our friend of the show, James Copley, having a little bit of fun on X. So about Sunderland are delighted to announce that Alex Neil has agreed to return to the club.
I had to look twice.
Honestly,
I thought,
classic.
Is he being serious? And then it was like, no, he's not.
Yeah.
Cold shudder.
Can you imagine the meltdown if he came back to the club? I think safe to say we will be looking elsewhere, thanks to Mr. Neil and his. Well, I mean, the way he left the club wasn't great, was it? That's an understatement. Sort of agreeing to a new contract, getting a pay rise, and then about 4 days later he's off to Stoke City. But it's all gone horribly wrong, and I think it almost it vindicates this decision by Sunderland's ownership to go for this direction of new up-and-coming managers. I think that maybe the days are gone of the old-school manager. Alex Neil's only 42, but he's very much of that old-school mentality. A manager-style coach rather than a coach-style manager. Do you think that the decision by Stoke City is the right one? Because, I mean, they've really, really worked hard to get him. They've given him 16 months, and we are where we are, I guess. Dave, I mean, obviously you've seen a little bit more of the Championship football. What do you reckon?
Do you know, I asked a question of the legends, because they've got a WhatsApp group that we don't talk about, and I pinged a message in there at the weekend and said, what the hell do they do if he keeps on producing the results? Yeah. They're interviewing people at the moment. They're searching for that right person. And there's Dodsey coming out, and producing the goods at the weekend. Now, if he can replicate that over the next couple of games, I mean, that's only going to take you a week. It's not a long period of time, but if he can replicate those points gathered and the performance, particularly the second half, then what do they do? I mean, it's a real dilemma for the management, because should they just dismiss him out of hand now and tell him, we're bringing somebody in, you've got no chance, or do they give him a sniff? But yeah, I'm sure it was a delightful weekend when you heard the news that Neil had left Stoke City.
It was just the icing on top of the cherry on top of the birthday cake. It really was.
But what do they do?
It was just
what do they do, Ted? If he keeps
honestly,
turning in wins,
Dodsey. Well, look, we've got form for doing it. We have promoted from within before. When Roy Keane left the club, Ricky Sabrasia took over as the caretaker manager for the rest of the season and kept us up with some fantastic performances. I mean, we went back-to-back wins. I think it was against West Brom and Hull. We won twice, about 4-0. He actually put in some great performances and got the best out of it. The only negative I can find with this sort of appointment is almost like an over-familiarity with the players. So, the likes of Dodsey will work with them day in and day out, and Patrick Roberts is exactly right in what he's saying. Nobody knows us better than the first team coach, because he's the one who, they'll put more time in with the players than what a head coach will. They are, they're in their faces day in, day out, hour in, hour out. And they get to know them on a really good personal level. Now, in the first couple of games, where all of a sudden, it's like your best mate's just got the manager's job, and you're kind of going, oh, brilliant that, couldn't happen to a nicer lad. And that's great. He might even pick up a win against Leeds United tomorrow night, and then the pressure is on the ownership.
That would be a huge one, though, wouldn't it? That would be a massive one.
Yeah,
it'd be a huge coup. Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, the ownership might then look at that and go, do you know what? The top 4 positions in the league are already settled for. If we make the playoffs, we make the playoffs. But why don't we just give him the rest of the season while we actually have an in-depth look into who we can bring in?
And save ourselves some money?
Yeah, 100%. The only issue you've got with something like this is if we go on a bad run of form.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Mike Dodds has then got to dish out some bollockins to some players, and then they're going, who are you talking to? You me mate?
Yeah. and that's the question. That's the point I was going to make after you'd finished there, which is, you've got the hell of a game against Leeds coming up. Now that's a toughie, and he could lose that, and then you go into the weekend, and if you'd lose another, then it's a moot point, isn't it? We don't talk any more about it.
Yeah, that's it. I've just got a weird feeling about the Leeds game. I think the tails are up. That performance was distinctly better than what we've seen probably in the last month or so. Where I said it before, we didn't just control the game this time. You remember Tony Mowbray was saying in his last interview, where we control games, we just never look like scoring. But the difference was against West Brom, we did look like scoring. We looked a threat. There was that little bit of urgency in the last third where it just looked more likely we were going to score. It's no disrespect to Mogger in any way, and to be honest, I wouldn't be massively surprised to see Tony Mowbray take up the position at Stoke. I think that's the kind of the brand of football that they would like to play. Stoke, obviously famously known for kicking the ball high into the end, coming down with ice on it. But I think that could be potentially their next move, is somebody with experience. They want somebody who plays attractive football. They've spent a lot of money on that squad. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Mowbray there.
Well, should we have a listen to Dodsey?
A bit like Glenn Roeder, wasn't it? A bit like Glenn Roeder at Newcastle. He came in. He had a great run, but then when he got the gig, it went pear shaped, and been a few cases of that. But yeah, go on, Dave.
Let's have a listen to Dodsey.
Here he is.
I liked a lot of it. I think there was elements of the first half which I didn't like. I felt they had too much control. So we had to tweak one or two things at half time, but the second half I think was a Sunderland team in terms of being on the front foot and having a huge amount of control. That's a big win for us, because they're a good team with a really, really good coach, and they will definitely be up there come the end of the season. So that's a big result, and I'm really happy for the group. I'm happy for everyone connected to the football club, and more importantly, I'm happy for the fans that obviously came out.
Well, there you go. He was up for it.
Yeah, it just sounds, and again, this is no disrespect to Mowbray. He's a different personality. He's a different kind of guy altogether. But that for me sounds like a guy. Yeah, all right, we've won a game, and that makes a big difference to your mood. As we can tell on this show on a regular basis. Yeah, where's Steve? He's out the front on his mood swing. No, I should never say that about Steve. Actually, you're always magnanimous in whatever result, mate. But yeah. Dodsey, he sounds up for it, and I liked how he was on the touchline. It was much more animated. It was not just animated in the fact that you're gesticulating towards players and having a go at referees. He didn't. What he was doing was, you could see, having a real good look and treating this as like a real action-packed chess game all of a sudden against what is a very, very good championship coach. And he's doing himself massive favours here. I would like to think that whoever comes in, even if Dodsey doesn't get the job full time, a coach who comes in and has that level of coaching ability to call upon, that can only be good for Sunderland, and really, really press us for getting into those playoff positions and cementing a place in them as well.
Well, let's see. The difficult decision's got to be taken shortly, hasn't it? Because they like to tell us the interviews are ongoing. I wonder who's any smoke signals of who they're chatting to?
Well, apparently over the weekend, or I think Friday evening it was, they went over to Sweden apparently and interviewed. Oh my word! Come on, Hellborg. I want to say Hell. Yeah, well, that says it all, really. It's an absolute unknown. I'm just going to have a little check on the order now. So what we got? I know I'm doing this live.
You've got a tricky couple of games, haven't you? You've got Sunderland tomorrow, and then you've got an away trip to Bristol City. Sunderland tomorrow, Leeds tomorrow, and then Bristol City at the weekend.
Sometimes it is bad.
It's going to be a tough.
Against ourselves.
It is, yeah. And I was guaranteed to win, are you?
So Julian Sablé is still the favourite at 3-1. Kim Hellberg is the Swede who was mentioned as well, also at 3-1. Mike Dodds has come into 5-1 now.
5-1, Doddsy. Wow.
No, that's coming from 12-1. Paul Heckingbottom, the odds have come down. I don't think Heckingbottom will get it purely on the style of play. He's a little bit more, let's not get beat kind of attitude. And my pal Will is still there at 7-1. So I think the odds have come in slightly for him as well. So yeah, it's whichever you look at those 4 out of those 5 names. Sablé's young, an up-and-coming coach. Obviously, he's the assistant manager at Nice at this moment in time, who is sitting second, I think, in Ligue 1. Kim Hellberg, not a massive lot known about him, but apparently, I've got a couple of Swedish pals. And
sounds like he does cruises.
Yes, nighttime entertainment with Kim Hellberg. Yeah, it is a little bit. Yeah, smooth hits on the piano. Yeah. Yes, but Hellberg apparently is known for his attacking style of play. It's this possession-based attacking that obviously everybody is trying to play now. Like I say, the only one out of those 5 that maybe will be out of the reckoning purely on style alone will be Paul Heckingbottom. The rest of it, it's open season. It's going to be a young coach, whichever way we look at it.
Yeah, well, morning, chaps. How we doing? Are we all right?
Morning.
On the 3 legends on Friday night, they were discussing who may next be in line, and I think Heckingbottom was well and truly out of the race in their opinion. As was
I wonder
Craig
if Daz is out of work.
I'd wondered he went, I haven't put in for it.
Yeah.
Just the journals are linking me with it.
It was great.
I noticed Cloggy as well at the weekend used his Instagram to say that he's not going to manage again.
Really? I missed that one.
I didn't see that.
That's a shame, that, you know.
He obviously he's attracted too much by the being a 3 legend. That's where it is. He's now got a brand new career path in front of him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to know, this is the big question of the day, though. How do we get into a WhatsApp group with the 3 legends?
Well.
Because that just opens the gates of hell. That really.
Imagine Ryan in that.
I'll have 2 Geordies blocking me then. No, Steve, you haven't blocked me yet. You just mute us, don't you, mate?
Yeah.
I just mute the group, but it's mainly because of Rye.
We can say that now he's getting battered by the weather and he's got no
right.
internet connection to listen to us. Yeah, absolutely. All right, fellas, we're done and dusted for another one.
We are
Another day,
indeed.
another dollar. Have a good birthday, Ted. Enjoy
Yeah,
it, whatever you and the missus are doing,
Thank you very
mate.
much, boys. Cheers. Thank
Happy
you very much, boys.
birthday
Appreciate
to
it.
you, mate.
And stay safe, Rye, if you're listening.
Yeah, indeed. He was saying
Absolutely,
trees
buddy.
are coming down and all sorts. So, wow, he is getting
Didn't stop
battered.
using Google, though. But anyway, it's Daz's turn now.
Hey, with all his mid-morning.
Nonsense.
There he goes. See you, fellas. Catch you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
Take care,
See you, boys.
guys.